Welcome back, YouTube pipe smokers. Muttnchop Piper here. Today's video is entitled Muttnchops Life Lessons. Select what you get upset about. Okay, so this is primarily for the younger pipe smokers that we have, but I think everybody can kind of get something from it. Okay, so what do I mean by select what you get upset about? Well, the one big thing about smoking a pipe is how relaxing how it relaxes you. If I've had a tough day at work or whatever, I come home, I fill my pipe with tobacco, light it, sit in my favorite chair, and get into the breath method, regulate my breathing in and out while enjoying one of my favorite blends. And for me, I can only speak for me, things just sort of melt away. My body kind of gets into a relaxed state, a Zen state, I guess you could call it. And I got to thinking, how could I go about transferring this feeling into my everyday life? So I started to kind of look at just life as it goes through every day. And the one thing I found was that I tended to get upset about nothing. Things that, in retrospect, were silly to be upset about. So I started to kind of regulate. I employed what I call a situation evaluation. That's situation evaluation. So what I did was anything that affects me, I decide how bad does it affect me. So the criteria are these. 1, does this situation endanger me physically or mentally? 2, does this situation endanger my current situation, i.e., will I lose my job over it? Will I get reduced in pay over it? Will I get suspended for it? Will I, get a ticket if I do this? That's the criteria. And also part of that criteria is, will this situation endanger my family's life or their mental health? Will it endanger their situation? Get them in trouble in some way? So I started to employ this. This was years ago. And let's give you some examples. I'll give you an example of what I'm talking about. I used to work at a place where I had to be on duty, and I was relieved ever so often, so I could take a break, go get a soda or whatever, and I was relieved for lunch. Well, more often than not, the individual that relieved me was late. And I found myself, before I employed this, getting upset with the guy. He'd show up 15 minutes late, and he'd say, "Oh, I'm sorry, man, I got caught up in stuff." And I'd be like, "Dude, I'm sitting here waiting for you to get here so that I can go on break, so I can go to my lunch. You need to start thinking about what you're doing." So I looked at that situation. I said, why did I get upset with him? Now I know that he should learn to monitor himself and show up on time. But was it really that big of a deal? Did it cause me any harm? Did it cause me to jeopardize the situation I was in? No. So when he'd show up late, I'd say something like, "That's okay, man, but just, from now on think about what you're doing, because, you really should be on time." And I would just let it go. And I did that with everything that happens. Everything that happens to me, I evaluate the situation and determine, is it worth getting upset about? And more often than not, no. It's not worth getting upset about, because the guy continued to be late, but it didn't affect me in any way. Now, there was a situation where, let me give you an example of a situation where it does affect me, and how it affects you or affects me. At the same time, and I knew this guy was always late, and I had set up a doctor's appointment. Now, this doctor's appointment took 6 months to get. And the way the doctor operated was, if you were late, no matter how late you were, he canceled your appointment. And you had to put in for another appointment. Plus, he charged you $25 for not showing up, even if you did show up 5 minutes late. So I told this individual, I said, "Man, you have got to make sure you're on time." I did this 2 days prior to the appointment. I said, "You've got to be here on time, because this is a situation." "All right, I'll be here, I promise, no problem." The day of the appointment, I said, "You need to make sure that you're here on time. Now, today's the day, so please be here on time." "No problem, I'll be here. You don't have to worry about it." Okay. So the appointment was at 12:30. His lunch was 11 to 12. Mine was from 12 to 1. Quarter till 12, nothing. 12 o'clock, still not here. 5 after, still not here. 10 after, still not back yet. Finally, at 15 minutes after, he shows up. So, let's look at the situation. 1, is it going to cause me bodily or mental harm? No. Well, yes, mental, because now I'm going to be stressed. 2, is it going to cause me to cause a problem with my current situation? Yes. Because if I don't get there on time, I've got to wait another 6 months to get this appointment, plus pay $25. So for me at that time, I determined that yes, this was worth getting mad about. And I went off on him. I said, "Man, I got 15 minutes to get across town. I'm not going to make it without speeding or without doing some creative things to get there. What is your problem?" I was a little bit more stern with him. He was like, "I'm sorry, man. I had a group of guys. We all went out. I lost track of time." I said, "That's no excuse. You knew, you knew I needed you here on time, and you weren't." So that's the kind of thing I'm talking about. Look at the situation. I think that's why I've been married for 35 years. Most of the things me and my wife are at odds about, I think about them and I'm like, this is silly. Doesn't matter. I think the biggest problem is it's like a competition. I lose most battles, especially with my wife. I just say, you know what, this is silly. I'm not going to get all upset and bent out of shape about this. And I just let her have her way. Now, if it's something very important that, that's going to cause us to have, financial problems or our situation, then yes, we will discuss it and I will push until, because I pretty much know, at least I think I do. But if she has a better idea, I'll listen to it and then we'll move forward. But you have to look at the situation and determine if it's worth getting upset about. And you'll find that 9 times out of 10, it isn't. All right, well, that's it for this video. Before I go, I wanted to once again thank all of you that have donated money to help me with my equipment problem. I wanted to kind of give you I've been thinking about this ever since the GoFundMe page is going. And I've decided that I want you guys to come along with me, those that donated and those that just want to come along. I want you to be involved. I've decided, I've talked it over with several people, and they have all convinced me that building a computer, I'll get more bang for the buck. So I've got my son-in-law and I've got a couple of guys that I work with in the ID department that are willing to give me a hand building this computer. So I want you guys to come along with me. I'm going to order the components I need and do a video and show you everything that I purchased. Then I'd like to do a video on actually building the computer. And then I'd like to do another video on the completed computer and the specs on it and what you can expect from this computer in the future. There's a lot of times where you donate money to something and you never know. You never know where it's going, if it's actually being used for the thing that you donated it for. So I want to make sure that you guys see that process and you see your money being used for what it was donated for. Now, some personal things that are coming up with me is I'm going to be gone for a week. I'm going to be visiting my brother, and he's in an area where there's limited internet service, so I won't be available to answer questions and to do a lot of that kind of stuff. I'll be back on the 6th. The money that has been donated will remain where it is until I return. Once I return, then I will remove those funds and I will start going and finding the components that I need to build a computer. So I just wanted you guys to know what my plans are for those funds and what's going to happen moving forward. Well, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it and I hope you learned something. Until my next video, I want to wish you and your family happy piping.